I at the Chaeli campaign have developed a doable occupational therapy service for ECD centres in the informal communities in Cape Town where we work. For those of you who maybe don't know, an occupational therapist is a health professional trained to assist children with barriers to learning by assessing and developing the underlying skills that allow for successful task completion. And each occupational therapist works with a community worker who is invaluable in building relationships with the community and providing a mother tongue and culturally sensitive service. So to start with an analogy, please sit back and reflect for a moment on a three-legged potjie standing over the warm coals. The meat, vegetables, and potatoes have been carefully prepared and laid in the pot. As the hours go by, you'll get delicious smells, and after a few hours of adjusting the coals, a delicious potjie course meal will be ready to enjoy by a large number of family and friends. I believe the essence of good potjie course lies in careful preparation, a stable three-legged pot, and adjustments to the fire over a long period of time. And these principles fit well with our service, and I'll come back to them. I think it's generally acknowledged, and we've seen firsthand when we've been supporting children with actual disabilities in mainstream classrooms, that a lot of their peers are also falling behind. And we believe this is partly because they don't have the underlying developmental skills during their ECD years to really be ready for formal schooling. And underlying developmental skills include things like gross motor, fine motor, perceptual, visual, communication, and social skills. And I think these skills combine later then to allow the children to learn to read and write and calculate. And I think we all know the serious negative consequences for the individual child, their teachers, their parents, and South Africa as a whole if these children aren't ready for formal schooling. And I think we also all know that specialized services for children with barriers to learning aren't really ready available at ECD level in South Africa. And as occupational therapists, there's so few of us that just providing support for a few individual, usually rich children is really inadequate. So we decided to work alongside ECD teachers in their own classrooms. We generally offer a series of 4 one-hour workshops for the whole class during the period of a month. And during these groups, we role model to the teachers how to use sequences of developmental skills that are linked and that help the children learn. This expands the ECD teachers' own skill base, and they can use it over time with all the learners. So an example of a group we might do with 5-year-olds is to start by standing in a circle. And I'm an OT, so I'm afraid I need to get practical. So we would do passing the beanbag over and in a circle, point out to the teachers. They might just see this as a game, but that the children are actually learning eye-hand coordination, they're learning about turn taking, they're learning about their body image, and all those are prerequisite skills for later scholastic ability. We would then continue the same activity on a smaller scale with more fine motor needs, with a lacing activity. We're still going under, we're still going over. And then we might go to an even finer activity like drawing outside with chalk on the concrete in an up-down pattern. So to show the teachers, how to use gross motor activities, 3D activities, to prepare children for 2D activities, bookwork later on. What we also find in the ECD centres where we go, which are mainly in the poorer areas, is that rote learning is overvalued and that gross motor activity is undervalued. So we also explain to ECD teachers how directed gross motor play really helps to develop motor planning skills, and those motor planning skills are going to later translate into the child being able to spell, put the letters together in the right sequence, being able to form the letters on the page, on the lines. We do things like setting up an obstacle course in the classroom. They don't have any fancy equipment, but just tables and chairs. You can make a tunnel, crawl under the tables, run in and out of chairs, climb over tables if the teacher will let you, jump off chairs, roll on the mat. All those have huge benefit and pre-scholastic, it develops those underlying skills. And it's a nice way of showing the teachers maybe they don't have a playground outside, or maybe the weather's bad, the children can't go outside, but that you can do things in the classroom as well in a different way. And then we also spend time problem solving with the teachers, how to actually identify and assist the many learners in their class. And we generally see about a third of the learners in a general class who've actually got specific barriers to learning. Sometimes the teachers need help to identify them. They're the ones who maybe talk their way out of everything. So they come across as being very able, but actually can't draw a picture, can't do anything. So those hidden kids with barriers, and also the ones who present in the difficult behavior problem kids who running around, won't sit still, won't finish a task. And sometimes all the teachers need is just someone to come and say, when the child's doing that, how about making your instructions more simple? Maybe they can't process complex instructions. How about breaking down the task with the over-under? We normally have to practice 5 minutes just going over everyone's head and then 5 minutes going under everyone's legs before we can actually combine and do an over-under sequence in a circle. So that thing of breaking down a task into manageable steps for the child. Other things like giving consistent rewards and letting the kids get up and do high energy activities in between being expected to sit still all day. That can often help them release energy and then improve their focus. Other things, simple things that teachers sometimes don't know is make sure the children are sitting right. If you want them to draw a nice picture for you, make sure they aren't lying, make sure they're close to the table, sitting up straight. Have a look at their pen grip. Are they using a nice grip, or are they doing this? Or, just showing the teacher and the child how to effectively hold the pen. Things with cutting, using the thumbs up approach. So having both thumbs facing up. Just teaching the methods often improves the cutting quality and the writing quality. And then we also focus with the teachers, which is kind of what occupational therapists do when you have a child with a problem, on backward chaining. So this is the problem. What is the barrier that's stopping the child from being able to draw a picture of a person, say? So you'll get a 5-year-old who's still just drawing a circle if you ask them to draw a person. So it could be various reasons, but just getting the child to draw a picture every day is going to be helpful, but it will be more helpful if they also maybe look at themselves in a mirror or trace around their body parts or sing action songs. So getting teachers to make that link. This is the problem. Looking back, what skills maybe hasn't the child got that I can develop to get to where I want to do, that they can now draw a nice picture of themselves. What we've also found is ECD teachers often just need someone to be with them when they tell the parents that they think this child's got a problem. Parents often don't want to hear that the child has a problem, or their sort of perception is, oh, my child can walk and talk, they're fine, they're school ready. So just sort of being there alongside the teacher when they have to maybe have that discussion with the parent. And then also helping with making referrals to clinics or hospitals if the child's got a vision problem or a hearing problem or medical problem that's going to hinder their learning. And then we've also found that returning to the same ECD centres for just quite short periods, but going back every year, is more beneficial than working intensively in one place. It takes time to develop relationships, and the teachers are often more ready when you come back the second year to ask the things that they actually want to know and the information that they're actually going to make use of, rather than going there, telling them all the stuff and then never going back. And then each year we try and leave behind a different resource. We've got a set of books. The Chaeli campaign is obviously focused on inclusion, so a set of books about including children with disabilities, posters to help the parents and teachers identify maybe when a younger child isn't meeting the developmental milestones that are expected, and just sort of general activity ideas that they can add to what they're already doing in the classroom. And of course, I think it's been alluded to in previous talks that parents are the third and the vital leg of the Potjie pot. Without parental involvement to enhance children's developmental skills at home, the child, like the Potjie, is going to fall over into the fire. And lack of parental involvement is a common problem that comes up is brought up by teachers. And we found it's partly because the parents don't really understand their role in education. They don't feel confident in what they must do and what they can do. So we've developed a series of 3 2-hour workshops for parents of 4 to 6-year-olds. We start by affirming that they are crucial in their child's success throughout their lives. We use experiential adult education principles, and parents actually get to do art activities, tell stories, play ball games, so that they understand what's required of their children at ECD level, because many of them didn't have ECD experience. We also facilitate a lot of sharing of ideas between the parents in pairs and small groups, so that they come up with ideas to enhance their children's underlying developmental skills in a way that are culturally appropriate. We did get feedback that our activities are too Western, so we try and let the parents come up with ideas, think back to their own childhoods, what did they actually do to develop their fine motor skills, their gross motor skills, and then also that they share with each other what resources are available in the community. Where are the play parks, what's offered at the clinic, where the library is, things like that. In the words of parents, we learn through playing and practical group work how to do activities with our children to get them ready for school. Parents really seem to appreciate information about what is expected of their child at a certain age. And again, in the words of parents, we liked what we learned because now we know what our children need to know, and we know what the school expects of us and the child. And I think any teachers among you might appreciate comments like, "It opened my eyes to know what I must start doing now to help my child achieve their dreams. And I realized that it is not only the teachers who must teach the child, but that the parents need to participate as well. I know how to see when my child has a problem and how to fix it." Knowing what's expected of a child at a certain age allows parents themselves to identify problems. And like we do with the teachers, we also then give parents ideas on how to assist with specific barriers to learning by backward chaining, and also guide them when they should ask for help from the teacher, when they need to take their child to other professionals. And then, as you can see in the picture, at the end of the workshop, the parents are given a box of stationery and educational equipment to use with their child at home. And after the workshop, they're well equipped to make use of the resource, rather than just giving out the resource to parents without doing the workshop. So coming back to the principles of the Poikikos analogy, like the correct layering of food, preparation for formal schooling is key, and a pair consisting of an occupational therapist and a community worker can assist ECD centres to effectively prepare children for formal schooling by emphasising a developmental and problem-solving approach. Like the stability gained from the 3 legs, a child needs input from their teacher, parent, and their parent to succeed at school. And as professionals who may be coming into sport ECD centres, we can only really be effective if we work with the child, the parent, and the teacher at the same time. And lastly, long-term input is important and can be done in a relatively cost-effective manner for a large number of learners by providing intermittent occupational therapy intervention in the same classrooms on an annual basis, because there's the compound effect over time. All right, thank you.